Boris Nemtsov, Yevgeny Prigozhin, Alexei Navalny. They are just 3 out of the dozens of people who challenged Russia's President Vladimir Putin in one way or another. February 27, 2015, August 23, 2023, February 16, 2024. These are the days when their defiance met a tragic end. In Russia, power is a cold blade. Those who defy it are cut down. And yet there is one who remains, stubbornly refusing to join the long list of Putin's adversaries who've been silenced forever. And he isn't lurking in the shadows, trying to evade the Kremlin's reach. No, Kyrylo Budanov, Ukraine's spymaster, stands rather boldly and deliberately in the spotlight, openly defying the Kremlin with every breath he takes. But that's not the only reason Putin fears Budanov. After all, others have also shouted their defiance for the world to hear and still met their end. Their voices drowned in the cold abyss of power. It's what Budanov does when he's not in the spotlight that truly terrifies Putin. You see, Budanov isn't merely a public figure of resistance. He is a master tactician whose strategic brilliance continually exposes Putin's vulnerabilities and destabilizes his grip on power from within. Every covert action is orchestrated with surgical precision and designed to undermine and disrupt, often striking at the very heart of the Kremlin's machinations. As the leader of Ukraine's secret war on Russia, which has turned into a relentless force that threatens to destabilize the very foundations of the Kremlin, Budanov has undoubtedly become Putin's worst nightmare. This is his story. Lieutenant General Kyrylo Budanov currently serves as the chief of the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, the youngest person in history to hold this pivotal role. He became the head of the Ukrainian Military Intelligence Service, also known as the GUR, in August 2020, when he was just 34 years old. Though this might be surprising for some, anyone who knows Budanov or knows of him knows that his youth is matched by an unparalleled drive and tactical genius. For someone whose whole life reads as a high-stakes thriller, a rapid ascent to the top of Ukraine's military intelligence almost seems inevitable. Budanov's background is a testament to this, a lifetime dedicated to special operations. In 2007, he graduated from the Odessa Military Academy, a higher military institution within the armed forces of Ukraine, and immediately started his military career in the GUR as part of the agency's special forces. Fast forward to February 2014, when the Russo-Ukrainian War officially started following Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea. Not even 2 months later, the war in Donbass erupted, and Budanov became deeply entrenched in the conflict. During this war, Budanov reportedly took part in several classified special military operations. He also gained a reputation as a bold risk-taker who doesn't shy away from crossing enemy lines. That's probably why he was wounded several times, often escaping death by the narrowest of margins. On one such occasion, someone from Budanov's unit set off an anti-personnel mine in Donbass, and the shrapnel that scattered across the battlefield grievously injured his neck and shoulder and even hit his heart. Reportedly, he then had to walk about 3 miles with these life-threatening injuries to a safe location. A reporter from Times Radio, a British digital radio station, who got the chance to meet with Budanov in July 2023, describes these injuries as legacy wounds. Many of these wounds are still quite visible, a stark testament to his extraordinary bravery and unyielding resolve in the face of danger. These two qualities also helped Budanov stay alive in 2016, when the Special Forces unit he led to an amphibious raid on Russian-occupied Crimea was ambushed by a Russian commando unit almost immediately after landing. Budanov's unit managed to retreat to Ukrainian-controlled territory, but not before killing several Russian soldiers. After being wounded in the Donbass once again, Budanov was sent to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland for treatment, as per a 2024 New York Times report. The same report indicates that around the same time in 2016, the CIA started training an elite Ukrainian Special Forces unit known as Unit 2245. This unit was trained to capture Russian drones and communications equipment, allowing the CIA technicians to reverse engineer them and crack the Kremlin's encryption systems. If the New York Times report is to be believed, Budanov was part of Unit 2245. By 2020, Budanov was already a highly skilled and respected spy, fighter, and leader in Ukraine's intelligence community. However, what reportedly drew the attention of Volodymyr Zelensky, the freshly appointed president of Ukraine, was that Budanov was also an out-of-the-box thinker. So on August 5, 2020, by the decree Decree of the President of Ukraine No. 308/2020, Zelensky appointed Budanov the chief of the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. And this was just the first prestigious title he held. In March 2022, he also became the head of the Coordination Headquarters for the Treatment of Prisoners of War. Roughly 6 months later, in September 2022, he was involved in the largest prisoner exchange operation between Ukraine and Russia at the time, securing a return home for 215 Ukrainian defenders, including over 100 fighters and commanders of the infamous Azov Regiment. In the same year, 2022, he was also appointed the head of Intelligence Committee under the President of Ukraine, thus receiving control over all activities of Ukraine's intelligence agencies. Even with juggling a few high-stakes roles in a full-on war, Budanov managed to work on his education throughout 2022, 23, and 24. During this period, he graduated from Yevgeny Berezniak Military Diplomatic Academy, ended the postgraduate studies of Ostro Academy, Political Science, graduated from Kyiv Mohyla Business School course, Strategic Architect, received an honorary degree, Dr. Honoris Causa, from the Kyiv School of Economics. On February 8, 2024, Zelensky awarded Budanov with the Golden Star, Order of Hero of Ukraine, as recognition for his heroism displayed during the Russo-Ukrainian War and the defense of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. As you can see, Kyrylo Budanov is a truly remarkable figure, and at such a young age. But what is he truly like in person, and what are his beliefs? The Times radio special correspondent who had the chance to meet him in person, Anthony Lloyd, describes Budanov as a fighter and a thinker who likes his work. However, he also describes him as quite an angry man who wants to make Russia bleed. Lloyd's first impression of Budanov is pretty on par with how a senior US intelligence official described him. George Smiley meets Jason Bourne was that description. George Smiley, a character from John le Carre's novels, is known for his shrewd, methodical intelligence work and his ability to navigate the complex world of espionage with a quiet, unassuming demeanor. Jason Bourne, on the other hand, is renowned for his intense action skills, resourcefulness, and let's be honest, sheer violence. Combine these two personas and you'll understand that Budanov is seen as a figure who masterfully blends the cerebral, strategic acumen of Smiley with the high-octane tactical prowess of Bourne, a figure that's so unbelievably multifaceted that he seems almost cinematic. And if he didn't have all the real-world accomplishments to back it up, no one would fault you for thinking he was nothing but an artfully created public persona, a character pulled straight from a spy thriller. His demeanor and his surroundings do little to dispel this notion. Just listen to how Lloyd describes Budanov's office on Rybalski Peninsula, referred to locally as Rybalski Island, where the GUR headquarters are located and where the pair met. Lloyd starts by describing Budanov's office as very dark and very shadowy. The Washington Post jokes that working in the dark befits the chief of Ukraine's military intelligence service. However, it's what can be seen peering through this darkness that seemingly fascinates everyone who's met Budanov the most. Lloyd describes Budanov's desk as an eclectic scatter of stuff. However, a single symbol dominates this chaos: an owl. Why an owl? A quick look at the GUR's emblem reveals the answer. The owl is the symbol of the Ukrainian military intelligence service, an animal known for its keen vision, wisdom, and ability to see through the darkness. Owls are everywhere in Budanov's office. There's little statues of owls, there's big statues of owls, there's medium statues of owls. That's how Lloyd put it. But undoubtedly the most eye-catching of them all sits behind Budanov's desk on a giant painting. This imposing owl, with its wings spread out, is clutching a bat in its talons. Now you can probably already guess the symbolism behind this painting, but here's a hint. The bat is the symbol of the GRU Spetsnaz, the elite units within the main directorate of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation. Talk about a bold statement. Budanov's office, images of which are often shared online and picked apart as some sort of a hidden objects detective game, also houses a variety of other fascinating items. A samurai sword, a grenade launcher, a chessboard, and believe it or not, live frogs. It's all part of this eclectic and strategic persona that Budanov projects. Each of these items could be interpreted as a nod to his multifaceted approach to intelligence and warfare. The samurai sword could represent precision and honor. The grenade launcher might serve as a reminder of the high-stakes nature of Budanov's work. The chessboard could symbolize his tactical acumen, or he might just be an eccentric who really likes frogs. Rather than spending time dissecting each object in this enigmatic office and hypothesizing about their meaning, let's focus on the cold hard facts: Budanov's beliefs, which he consistently articulates with striking clarity and conviction. Interestingly, Budanov was one of the few top Ukrainian officials to have predicted the invasion Russia launched on February 24, 2022. Even Zelensky, the country's president, seemingly didn't believe that such an invasion was imminent, but Budanov knew it was coming, and he even knew when it was coming almost to the minute. Though the first signs of the invasion could be seen around 3:59 a.m. local time, the full-on invasion started at 5:07 a.m. Budanov's prediction, 5 a.m. on February 24, 2022. In a January 2024 interview with Le Monde, a French daily afternoon newspaper, Budanov recalled watching the hands of the clock turn on that fateful night. Though he had in no way wanted a war, he had a duty to prepare his country for the worst. And given that the worst-case scenario did happen, it became clear that Budanov's words held quite a lot of weight. So even when he's claiming some contentious things, such as that Putin is terminally ill with cancer, his statements are taken quite seriously. But we won't focus on any sensational claims or speculative theories. Instead, it's more important to understand how Budanov's strategic mindset and foresight have shaped Ukraine's approach to the ever-evolving conflict with Russia. So the first thing Budanov believes is that Russia is ripe for a civil war. This conviction seems to be directly shaped by the Wagner Group rebellion, which took place between June 23 and June 24, 2023. This rebellion was led by now late Prigozhin, the former head of the Wagner Group and Putin's close ally. The rebellion, although short-lived, exposed significant fractures within the Russian power structure and revealed the deep-seated discontent among influential factions. As the head of Ukraine's military intelligence agency, Budanov's task was to find out just how strong this discontent was. According to him, leaked Russian documents showed that out of 46 Russian regions, 21 were supportive of Putin. That's not even half, which is quite shocking for a country often portrayed as united behind its leader. Out of the remaining regions, as many as 17 were reportedly supportive of Prigozhin, while the rest were split 50-50. These figures haven't been independently verified, but if they're true, they suggest a level of instability and division within Russia that could have profound implications for the country's internal dynamics and the ongoing conflict with Ukraine. According to Budanov, Russia could very well be headed for an implosion, which would in turn effectively end the war in Ukraine. Interestingly, a recent US intelligence leak seems to suggest that Budanov or his officers actually met with Prigozhin in an undisclosed African country while the latter was still alive. When asked about these leaks, Budanov neither confirmed nor denied their claims. The only thing he did say was that he did, in fact, face the Wagner Group in many African countries. Lloyd believes he used the word face deliberately, as it can refer to both face-to-face meetings and confrontations between the two parties. So whether Budanov met with Prigozhin to talk or fight remains open to interpretation. If they did in fact meet to talk, one can't help but wonder whether the Wagner Group rebellion truly inspired Budanov's belief in Russia's vulnerability and the potential for a civil war, or if he was the one who inspired the rebellion. But again, let's leave the speculations aside and focus on concrete insights coming from Budanov. If a Russian civil war isn't the event to put an end to the war in Ukraine, what could be? According to Budanov, the war could be ended with a solar plexus blow to Russia. This blow involves crossing the border and bringing the war to Russia, which he has already done on multiple occasions, as you'll soon hear. That's why he often also speaks about the need for long-range weapons used to attack Russian soil, singling out the US-made ATACMS missiles as particularly effective. So are those the only options? A civil war or a deadly blow? Well, pretty much. Budanov is rather clear about one thing. Any kind of peace talks are off the table. Why? Because such talks would require some territorial concessions on Ukraine's part. And for Budanov, this isn't an option. When talking to the Philadelphia Inquirer, he said, "We have no option but to get back what was occupied. Otherwise, the state of war will go on forever." So in his eyes, the only victory Ukraine can achieve is a total victory. All Russian forces expelled from Ukraine and Crimea, and all sovereign Ukrainian territories fully restored. Unfortunately, Ukraine will hardly be able to achieve such a victory with conventional forces alone. Even with all the military aid coming from Western countries, Russia is still superior in terms of sheer numbers. That's why Budanov's strategy doesn't solely hinge on military tactics. No, it's Budanov's intelligence and psychological tactics that earned him the title of the mastermind behind Ukraine's secret war against Russia. With this in mind, let's examine what Budanov has achieved in the war so far and why Putin wants him dead so desperately. In a general sense, Budanov's greatest achievement has been taking the war outside the borders of Ukraine and shifting the battleground to Russia's sphere of influence and Russia itself. In his words, "I've been advocating this since the very first days of the war, saying openly that so long as the war is contained on our territory, it will not affect Russia. That's why since spring 2022, we have started to conduct significant operations on Russian territory, and we will go further the more resources we have for this, and Russia has started to feel it." Though Budanov hasn't claimed responsibility for many of the actions we'll soon discuss, his overall demeanor and chilling attitude suggest a deep involvement in orchestrating these high-stakes operations. The only thing he did say to the Times radio was that he loves direct action. His exact words were, "We love direct action, we're good at it, we do it, and we'll do it anywhere in the world where we see fit, against whoever." Now, you can make your own judgments about what his words might imply. One of the rare actions Budanov did take responsibility for was the drone attacks hitting the Kremlin. These attacks started in May 2024 and were undoubtedly something that nobody expected to see in the country's capital. After all, Moscow is, for the most part, shielded from the true horrors of the war in Ukraine. Putin deliberately chose not to conscript young men from the capital and kept the city largely protected against any violence, bar the March 24 Crocus City Hall terrorist attack. And there lies the problem. By being able to keep its capital and the center of its power out of this brutal conflict, Russia has essentially waged war from a safe distance, entirely on its terms. Well, Budanov decided to change that. By targeting the Kremlin, the heart of Russia's power, Budanov managed to shatter the illusion of invulnerability and show that even Moscow could be turned into a battleground. Now let's make one thing clear. These drones did barely any damage to Moscow, but that wasn't the point. We're discussing psychological warfare, remember? So the mere fact that Ukrainian drones were able to breach the Russian air defenses, fly all across the country, and reach the Kremlin was enough to send a chilling message to Putin. The war is coming back at you sooner or later. In one of the latest drone attacks in August 2024, Ukraine deployed about 50 drones to Moscow and surrounding regions, prompting Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin to call it one of the largest attacks on the city to date. According to Russia's Ministry of Defense, 45 of these drones were downed, with 11 being shot down in Moscow Oblast as they were heading toward the capital. Budanov, for his part, disclosed that the drones actually targeted a signals intelligence center in the Podolsk district on the outskirts of Moscow, the nearby Ostafyevo airport, and the Milarovo military base in Rostov Oblast, located some 530 miles to the south. Besides instilling fear in Moscow's elite, these drone strikes play another crucial strategic role. They provide hope to the Ukrainian people. The mere fact that one of their agencies is hitting back at Russia inside Russia serves as a powerful symbol of resistance and resilience. It reassures Ukrainians that their fight is making a difference and that their struggle isn't in vain. Another strategic move that has been linked to Budanov and his agency, and holds equally as much symbolic importance, if not more, is targeting the Crimean Bridge, better known as the Kerch Bridge. This 11-mile bridge, constructed after the illegal annexation of Crimea, serves as a crucial supply route for Russia's military operations in the region, well, on the surface at least. The true significance of this bridge lies in its symbolic meaning for both warring sides. For Ukraine, the Kerch Bridge represents the physical embodiment of Russia's occupation and the ongoing violation of Ukrainian sovereignty. For Russia, and especially its president, it's a symbol of pride and triumph. So much so that attacking this bridge is almost seen as an attack on Putin himself. That's probably why Ukraine hasn't held back when it comes to targeting this bridge or outright talking about destroying it. So far, there have been at least 2 major strikes targeting this bridge, which connects mainland Russia with Crimea. On October 8, 2022, there was an explosion on the roadway itself, causing parts of the bridge to collapse. On July 17, 2023, an explosion occurred adjacent to the Kerch Bridge, again causing the collapse of a section. It's suspected that Ukrainian aquatic drones were involved in both attacks. Though Russia worked to reinforce the bridge and its security after each attack, it's obvious that Ukraine won't know any peace until the Kerch Bridge is in ruins. On August 2, 2024, Budanov even said that this long-awaited destruction could occur in the next few months. Though he didn't elaborate much, he did say that such an attack would require a complex solution and long-range strikes. Pulling off such a massive endeavor would undoubtedly strike a massive blow to Russia's military logistics, but perhaps even more importantly, it would humiliate Putin, and most of Budanov's so-called direct actions aim to achieve precisely this goal, hurting and humiliating Putin and his regime. The rather long list of these direct actions, most of which aren't officially acknowledged but are widely attributed to Budanov, includes the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline on September 26, 2022, with underwater explosions, multiple attacks on Russian vessels in Sevastopol with naval drones, waves of arson attacks against fuel depots and storage facilities across Russia, and several assassinations and assassination attempts. The last action on the list will probably catch the most attention, so let's expand on it a little bit. This is one of those direct actions Budanov took full responsibility for. Though he didn't name any names, he did say that Ukraine has successfully targeted quite a few people associated with the Kremlin's propaganda machine. The more high-profile incidents Budanov is probably referring to include the August 2022 car bombing killing of Daria Dugina, the daughter of Alexander Dugin, known as Putin's spiritual guide. Since Dugin was supposed to be traveling in the same car as his daughter, many believe that he was the intended target of this attack. Another high-profile high-profile incident took place in April 2023, when a prominent military blogger, Vladimir Putin, was killed in an explosion at a St. Petersburg cafe. Tatarsky, known for his pro-war rhetoric and influential voice within Russian nationalistic circles, was seen as a key figure in spreading support for Russia's war efforts in Ukraine. In July 2023, Stanislav Rizhitsky, a Russian submarine commander, was gunned down while jogging in the southern Russian city of Krasnodar. His movements were reportedly closely tracked via the app he used to log his jogging routes, making him an easy target for an unknown attacker who struck on a rainy day in a deserted park. Rizhitsky had previously been involved in missile strikes against Ukrainian cities, including the deadly attack on Vinnytsia in July 2022, which killed 23 civilians. That's probably why Budanov showed little sympathy when discussing these incidents on the Ukrainian YouTube channel Island TV. According to a translation by the Kyiv Post, Budanov said the following: "Outright scum will eventually be punished in any country in the world. Only elimination can be a well-deserved punishment for such actions." That brings us to Putin. Budanov went as far as to admit that his agency had made numerous attempts on the life of Russia's president, and according to many, supreme leader Vladimir Putin. His exact words were, "There have been assassination attempts, but as you can see, they haven't been successful so far." Interestingly, Putin could say the same for Budanov, if he were half as transparent as this fearless lieutenant general. How so? Well, because there have also been at least 10 assassination attempts on the chief of the GUR. That's right, when we said the Russians wanted Budanov dead, it was no figure of speech. The Kremlin has made it an active mission. Interestingly, these assassination attempts started even before Budanov became the chief of the GUR, which only underscores just how much of a threat he was perceived to be by Russia, even early in his career. One of the first known attempts occurred in 2019 when a bomb was placed under Budanov's car but exploded prematurely. Fast forward to June 2023, and the GUR headquarters in Rybalsky Island was hit by Russian rockets, leading many to believe, and Russian military bloggers to boldly claim, that Budanov was either dead or lying in a coma somewhere in Germany. Even Putin seemed to think so, as he appeared to be oddly giddy on national TV a day or two after the strikes. However, as it turned out, Budanov was very much alive. But in true Budanov fashion, he didn't just come out and say it. He once again played with the minds of his adversaries by staying silent for 3 weeks and then releasing a video of him sitting at his desk, staring at the camera and being eerily silent. The video was captured with 3 simple words: plans, love, silence. And just like that, we're back in a high-stakes thriller where the villain thinks he's won, only for the hero to emerge from the shadows alive and plotting his next move. From this move alone, it's easy to conclude that Budanov isn't particularly worried about the attempts on his life. In fact, he sees them as a badge of honor. However, it appears that Budanov isn't the only target of Putin's regime, so is his wife. In November 2023, Mariana Budanova was poisoned with heavy metals. Luckily, she survived and successfully completed a course of treatment in a hospital. In February 2024, Budanov confirmed that he knew who was responsible for the poisoning. Though he didn't elaborate, his vow to take retaliatory actions on Russian territory speaks for itself. In the same interview, he added that he doesn't know whether the poison was meant for him. He also said that he has already survived many assassination attempts and will probably survive many more. And that's precisely the kind of statement you would expect to hear from a man for whom survival isn't just a matter of luck, it's a matter of will. But what do you think? Will Budanov be able to outwit his enemies and see his vision for Ukraine through to the end? Or will he eventually become another casualty in the deadly game of shadows he so masterfully plays? And while you're in the comments section, do share what kind of impression Budanov has left on you. Do you see him as Buddha Budanov, a calm and strategic mastermind? Or do you share the opinion of those who see him as a wild card, a hothead antagonizing a major nuclear power? We're looking forward to reading your takes. Now go and check out Chinese soldier fighting for Russia exposes Putin's incompetence, or click this other video instead.